Hello there survivors and welcome back to another video in ARK Survival Ascended. Today I've built a big Greek villa using mostly the Astraeus structures that are part of the companion mods for the new modded Greek map Astraeus. But I think you could definitely also translate this design to normal structures, but of course it just fits the Greek vibe very well. It's quite a big base with some nice gardens outside, with some smaller dino pens included, a basement, and of course a nice villa for your personal ARK home. So in this video I'll show you around the base and show you all the little bits and bobs and maybe give you some inspiration for your own Greek builds or villa builds or base builds in general. And if you want to see more about the process I built this villa on stream, 2 parts are still up on the channel as well if you want to see more. Alright, here we are at the river here on Astraeus, right next to the green obelisk. If you're wondering where this location is, there's some lovely rivers here with beautiful blue water in them. There's some lovely trees around this bit, and of course the amazing white cliffs of this map, and a natural little bridge, which is where I kind of started this whole area of. What I did here first was basically make a big platform that I could work with. Then I made some layers with the stairs leading up to it, the gardens and everything before I started building the giant villa grounds themselves. So yeah, it is a pretty fun build. You have a courtyard and everything, and you've got this little road leading up to it to make it look very grand and special. I've used a few mods, of course, the Astraeus structures mod, the Clingers rustic structures as well for some of the roofs and some of the beams and everything. And then JVH landscaping to add plants in more easily instead of having to scoop them up in the plant pots that are in the normal game. And probably a few more like decoration mods like RR Home Deco and stuff like that. But yeah, it is a pretty nice build, I think. Personally, I'm quite happy with the way this turned out. So this is one of, well, technically it's the side entrance because it's the side of the grounds, but it's also kind of the main entrance because this is most likely to be the one that you'll be using to get into the build. And then we have the big main villa here at the back, and we have of course some walls to kind of go around the courtyard. And then we have what I would call the main entrance or the front entrance right here, but of course it's a little harder to get here because you have to walk around the building, around the little ledge to get exactly there. But yeah, this is the front view of the villa. So we got a little garden out here, again using these JVH plants. And if you're wondering about the water, that's a custom cosmetics called Wild Waters. Wild water, something like that. And then you can basically turn in foundations or ceilings into something that looks like water. I think you can use these on official as well. And it's a really nice way to kind of detail and decorate around your base. You also have the ones where you can actually enter and they're like above the ceiling you place it on. But yeah, for this I just went for these ones, which makes a quite funny look because you can walk on it. So yeah, we got some little gardens out here, and then we got another layer with another little pool down here as well, and you can see plenty of plants all around us. Then we got these 2 buildings here at the main entrance, which are symmetrical in size and shape, but as you can see, the fronts here, the balconies, are a little bit differently to kind of break it up and give 2 different variations. I personally think they turned out quite nicely. I really like this front view with the main gate here in the middle, and then the 2 side buildings, and then of course the walls of the courtyard and the bigger villa behind it. I also really like the look of these layers here in front with the little garden, the pool, everything. I think that comes together quite nicely, and it really adds a lot of interest by having those different layers around. So yeah, when we do enter this would be your main way into the courtyard here in the middle of the villa grounds. But it's also where I've got the dino pen / stable. So yeah, you can come in here, you can park your tames. There's a few places here to park them. There's also some access here into the rest of the courtyard once more. So yeah, you have some decent space to park them. I've put some hay bales here from the Western Deco mod just to fill it up a little bit. And then on the other side, we have even more room. So yeah, we have some more places to park dinos. Once again, way back into the courtyard. We also have some hatching facility here. And there is the access to the basement that I've now just filled with a bunch of barrels and beer barrels and everything. Of course, you could just make your major storage system in a place like this if you hide a basement underneath. And this is all just because I had to raise the platform quite high to get a big enough flat space to build a giant villa on. But yeah, of course, the advantage of that is that I now do have plenty of space here in the basement for a bunch of storage, or maybe more dinos, you know, whatever you want. There's also a side entrance here, which is between the little garden that we walked past at the start. So yeah, there's quite a lot of layers and connections around, which I think is a really nice thing to add to your build. So if you are able to, this is definitely a good tip for you to use in any of your builds. Adding layers and adding like little walkways around, especially in bigger builds, that can be really nice. So yeah, this is the bottom floor basically of these buildings. Then you get out here in the main courtyard. We have some nice greenery, plants and trees in the middle. We of course have those side entrances / main entrances, depending on whether you want to make it logical or practical. And then we have these houses here. You can access them by the stairs here on the front. I haven't done any decoration for this part, but yeah, as you can see, it's a pretty decent house where you can definitely make your crafting area or whatever. And you've got the nice views from the balconies out here as well. And yeah, there's definitely a lot of space. You could even add another layer on top if you really need more space. For a big tribe, a build like this could definitely work out quite well because there is so much space available. Then on the other side, of course, we've got a similar building. It's slightly shorter, of course. The balcony is a little bit bigger on this one. Again, no decoration here. Also, one of the windows is open. There we go. And yeah, then you have a little bit of a bigger balcony here to enjoy and appreciate the views around you. But yeah, I really like the fact of these differences in those two buildings because it just creates a little bit of interest. From a distance, they still look the same because the shape is kind of still the same, but it's just when you get closer, there's some interesting details in both of them that are different, and yeah, that just adds a lot of interest to your build. So there we go, the main courtyard and the main big villa that you can see here. So this exists of the main building in the middle and two connecting wings to the outside wings of the build that are identical pretty much. The only downside that I had, that I ran into a little bit of the landscaping at the back of this build. So therefore I made this one boarded up. As you can see, like it's been abandoned. It's starting to get a little bit overgrown. So it's a little bit more chaotic out there. But I thought, you know what? I'm just going to embrace the fact that it is a little bit messed up because of its overgrown and the hill coming through on the inside, and I think that added a nice feature to it in the end. And then it's less here on this side. We still have a little bit, which I turned into like little indoor gardens, and the main bit is completely fine. Once again, we got some pools here. We also have some sitting areas out here. As you can see, the courtyard itself, there's quite a lot of room still. I've got these water wells, which is basically just water tanks where you can drink. There's definitely also plenty of space to park some tames in here. And the good thing is, of course, once we got the walls all set up, this whole area is basically completely safe for you to use. So yeah, quite nice. And it does feel like we're in a completely different area all of a sudden, with this completely surrounded by walls and everything safe inside here. So yeah, that's quite nice. And then here we can go into one of these side wings. So we have a lot of the Atlas crafting stations because they look quite nice. So I did a little bit of decorating here to make it look like someone would be living here and using the base. But of course, I mean, it's always very personal the way you like to decorate your bases, whether you prefer the looks or you prefer the practical use of the space. But as you can see, there is plenty of space. I actually forgot to totally skin this next floor for some reason. I also just realized that I didn't even make a staircase up to there, and that's what I was supposed to do back here, but I got distracted by making plans. So yeah, there is technically another floor that I guess didn't really make a staircase to, and I don't think I did it on the other side either. But yeah, you technically do still have another layer up here for you to use as well. So I guess I kind of need to make a staircase here at the back above the little green indoor garden that I made, because I mean, it's a little bit of a shame not to use that, of course. Let's enter through the window. There we go. So yeah, just imagine there's a staircase at the back here going up to the next layer. But as you can see, yeah, the landscape is kind of protruding into my build. So I made a little indoor garden. We got this connecting wing, which I quite like. And then here, I don't really mind having the garden here. I think it's nice having some greenery on the inside. And then we have a little kitchen area here in this little hallway before we get to the main building. It's got a little bit of a library going on here. You could probably make some living room or of course some crafting if you wanted to be a little bit more practical. And then up here we got some more of these libraries and some tables to add some stuff onto. As you can see, there's a lot of space up here, so it's quite nice and roomy. And here we got the bedroom, some beds, some fireplaces, some storage, and still plenty of room left. This is quite a big build, so you have a lot of space to utilize if you were going to use something like this as a base. But yeah, I think it's a quite nice design. There is definitely a lot of potential here. It might be a little bit on the big side, to be honest. I think it is maybe slightly too big. And as you can see here, the overgrown bit is a little bit worse because of the landscape. So this is where I kind of have the feeling that it is abandoned. That's why a lot of the windows are boarded up. I did still have some of the practical stuff in here just to kind of symbolize how much you can fit inside, especially if you don't actually build the second layer in here. You have a lot of space left, but even with it, you can probably still add a second layer in quite easily without too many issues. But yeah, as I said, kind of went for the abandoned feeling for this build, and yeah, I do think that kind of works. Add some interest to your base. But yeah, it is a very big build. I quite like the way this one turned out. I love the way it looks. It is a very big build, but for a bigger tribe, something like this could definitely work. You've got your walls to keep everything safe inside. You've got a dino pen for everything that fits through a normal gate. And then for bigger things, you can probably just keep them around and keep them safe with some turrets, because yeah, that would be a little bit more difficult. But for a base, for crafting, for storage, for everything, you should have plenty of space in this build for sure. And I'm especially really happy with all the layers that we added. I love the little garden area out here, and just the whole layout of the build itself is quite nice. But yeah, as you can see from my build, you definitely need a lot of space, and making sure that the terrain isn't too steep as it was for me, so that you don't lose some of that space on the inside to nasty hills. But still, I'm very happy with the way this design turned out. Let me know if you like it, and if you want to see some builds maybe like this, maybe not exactly this because it's quite big. I also have a slightly smaller variation of this one, which I think is a lot more practical to build in survival. That's one I designed in survival as well, so I might do a tutorial on that one. And then maybe also try to make one which doesn't use these modded pieces, but uses normal pieces, so you can use them as a normal build instead as well. As always, if you enjoyed this video and enjoyed this build, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and then hopefully I'll see you around in the next one. For now, thanks for watching, and goodbye.